weekend, people. And welcome to the weekend. We have another video. We're going to be cooking in the kitchen with Penguin because I'm the Penguin. And guess what?
He's the chef.
He's the chef.
What do you mean penguin people? I thought it was chef people.
Penguin chef people.
Supposed to be Burger Chef and Jeff, remember?
Penguin and the chef people.
Burger Chef and Jeff.
There are, what do you think? There are colony.
Okay.
Isn't a group of penguins a colony?
Yeah, I think so.
They're our colony of friends that we love so much.
Well, then you must be Happy Feet.
I am Happy Feet. Because right now my feet are bare and they're on the floor. I'm barefoot. Not pregnant though. A little past those ages. Anyway, we're still on this summertime theme. And what's one fruit of summertime? Peaches. We love peaches. And I know a lot of you have probably heard of a cake called a granny cake. Well, you know, Penguin, I never do anything like I'm supposed to. A regular granny cake calls for pineapple, but we've done a whole lot of pineapple stuff lately. And another great fruit of the summertime is peaches. So we're going to do a granny cake, but we're going to do it Penguin's way. We're going to do a peach and pecan granny cake, which will be great for any cookout, any gathering, anything over the Memorial Weekend or 4th of July or anything like that.
And later on this year, she'll be making some other peach stuff because both our little peach trees are full out and going.
Yes, I told Chef he needs to take a video because we've got a lot of peaches coming up on our peach trees. Now, they're still young peach trees, so the fruit may not be edible yet.
The Diamond Princess one, even though it's only about 7 foot tall maybe, has already got like 40 pieces of fruit. And I can't remember the name of the other peach. It's a different kind, a Georgia something, I think. It's got about 30 pieces of fruit on it.
We're just glad to see it bearing fruit.
And a couple of my apple and pear trees got a few bulbs on them too,
So anyway, we're going to make a peach and pecan. I call it a peaches and cream pecan granny cake. And what you're going to need for this, it's very, very simple. I have a lot of things out, but it's very simple.
Ain't that a variation on your grandma's recipe?
Yes, this recipe is very, very old. This recipe is pre-Penguin time. Because I remember my mom making this when I was little, but my mom made it the traditional way. I changed it up when I started making it because I like pineapple a lot, but I like pineapple and other things. This is one of those things I like with peaches because to me, peaches and pecans go better together than pineapple and pecans.
Pre-Penguin time, ain't that when they invented the wheel?
Aren't you a funny, smart arse?
I said pre-Penguin time, it was before you.
Invented the wheel. Only you would know. The chef, the one who sits all day and tries to fit square pegs in round holes.
Why I have a sander.
He said, that's why I have a sander. The chef has a way to figure out everything. Oh, boy. Anyway, back to what I was saying. What you're going to need for this recipe is 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. You're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs beaten, and we're going to use about a can of peaches. Now, and that's going to be juice included, but I have a 29-ounce can, but I'm only going to use about 2/3 of that, and the rest I'm going to reserve for garnish for the top of our cake. And also, before the cake gets done, on top of the stove, we're going to cook 1 cup of meal nut, 1 stick of margarine, not butter, but margarine, a 1/2 cup of sugar, and a teaspoon of vanilla. And I think the chef has something that he's wanting to show.
2 things, actually. The big can of peaches you got, you guys that shop at Dollar Trees, you need to watch. Them are really good peaches. They only have them in certain times of the year, though.
Yes, these came from the Dollar Tree.
For $1.
I already have them open. I don't want to drop them, but
it's a great big can.
These are very good peaches.
Yes, they're very good. I don't care if they come from the Dollar Tree or not. And for the price, it's a great deal.
My mother-in-law, she always has us buy a bunch because that's what she uses for all of her cobblers and crisps.
And a few people was asking about my plants, and some of them have died. I've thinned some out and separated. Here's one of the ones that's doing pretty good, if you can see it right there. It's almost ready to move into a big pot and stick outside, I believe. Not having a hot house.
What is it?
That's a tomato.
A tomato.
Not having a hot house to do this in and never growing it from seed before, I'm just learning. So next year, if I'm going to grow seeds, I got to build me a little hothouse for outside because this doesn't work in the house that well. This one's been sitting outside for about 4 or 5 days now, and that's when it sprung the extra leaves and the stem started getting bigger on it.
So he's a proud plant papa. But anyway, I'll be right back with you guys, and we're going to get started on this cake. Okay, guys, what we're going to do first, I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. We're going to use a 9x13 baking dish. The only other things that you're going to need is obviously a mixing bowl. Now, they do sell diced peaches in a can in the store, but because I had a lot of these peaches, I'm going to cut them up myself. But I need to reserve the juice. So I've got my metal mixing bowl here, and I have my little mesh strainer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lid off of my peaches, and I'm going to pour this down into my mesh strainer so that I can get all my peaches out, because I want to cut some of those up. Again, I'm going to cut some, and I'm going to reserve some for the garnish for the top of my cake. Because the way we serve this up is we usually do a dollop of Ready Whip or Cool Whip, whatever you like, and then a slice of peach. So I'm just going to take some of these off, and I'm going to put them back in my can. I'm only going to keep out about what I need. If you like peaches, this cake is really good. If you don't like peaches, then you can just substitute what I'm doing with peaches, and you can use about a 16-ounce can of crushed pineapple juice and all. You don't have to use peaches. So I'm just going to, well, you know what? I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to slide this over. I think you guys can see me. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my peaches out. I'm going to lay them on the cutting board, and I'm going to slice them up. Not slice them up, I'm going to dice them up. They're slippery. I can get them out here on my cutting board. Yes, my hands are clean. I've washed my hands plenty. So I'm going to get these out here. And I'm just going to go through, and I'm going to dice my peaches into little pieces. And try not to grab one to eat on the way, because I love peaches. We have a farm that's not real far from us, but in our area, they're prominent for growing a lot of melons and peaches. There's a lot of peach orchards and stuff. There's one that's not too awfully far. It's called the Big Peach. I always laugh when I go past there, though, because they have this big peach on a pedestal out by the highway, and it looks like a big butt. So I always laugh when I go past there, because, well, that's what it looks like. Next time we go down that way, I'll snap a picture of it, and I'll show you guys. I think I saw one like that, too, when I was in South Carolina. I think I passed a peach orchard some point years ago. We did when we went to South Carolina, and there was also a peach orchard. And they had the same thing. They had a big peach up on a big pedestal or something like that. And it just looked like a big butt to me. So I guess peaches do kind of, sort of, when they're not, whole peaches before they're peeled or sliced or whatever. But they are slippery, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm just chopping these up real fine. Okay, I went ahead and stopped the camera long enough for me to get all my peaches transferred over into my strainer. And again, you can go ahead and buy the peaches that are already diced. But the peaches this is a big can for $1 at the Dollar Tree. The can of peaches that was already diced from Walmart, I think it was over $1. Anyway, so now I have some pecans. And these are pecans that we got from Aldi. And they are really, really super good. So I'm going to take probably about a half a cup of pecans. You can use more if you want to. And I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to chop them up a little bit, so they're not in huge pieces. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that peaches and pecans go better together than pineapples and pecans would? I don't mind pineapple and pecans. I have a summer dessert that I make, and it does have pineapple and pecans in it, and it's okay. But when I think of cakes, I just rather do peaches and pecans. That's just my preference. To each their own. If you don't like pecans, then you could even use walnuts, or you basically don't have to use any nut at all, but it just adds that little extra something, a little extra crunch factor. It gives this cake kind of a little bit of a candied pecan topping to it. And we like that. I think that's about good enough. So I'm just going to chop up a couple more here. A couple of pieces that I see that are still a little big. There, that's good. Okay, and I'm just going to set this off to the side. And I'm going to bring over my bowl right here and my utensils that I'm going to need. Okay, here's my bowl. Set my pecans over here. All right. Now, we're going to get ready to assemble our cake. Make our batter up. Hello again.
Oh.
Hot outside, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can only go so far weed eating until my back starts screaming.
Yeah, it's really hot out today. But I don't mind baking because I'm in the house and the central air is on, so it's all good. Besides, I get cold fast, so the oven being on kind of feels good to me. Okay, so we're going to need 1.5 cups of sugar. So I'm just going to press down my clumpies in here and get us out some sugar. There's 1 cup. And there's about 1/2 right there. Just a tad bit more. There we go. That's 1.5 cups of sugar. Now to this we're going to add, yes, I have my towel again. My towel from Bonnie at bonniesbargains. Sweet, sweet lady. I'll leave her channel in the description box below. You guys go over and check her out. Trying to help her channel grow. She deserves it. She's such a sweet, sweet lady. Okay. Need 2 cups of flour. We've got 1 and 2. So now we have our 2 cups of flour in. I love these canisters, you guys. They have them at Walmart. These are the Better Homes and Gardens, and I just love these. They're stackable, and you just put the lid on them and press down, and it's suction, so it keeps them fresh.
We couldn't find any more round ones, though.
Yeah, they don't have, we haven't been able to find any more round ones, but they do still have the square ones, and they're also stackable, so I can take another one and put it right on top of that, and it's a space saver.
I like the seal.
Yeah, we like the seal on them because it kind of keeps everything a little fresher. Okay, so now we've got our sugar in here. We've got our flour in here. We're going to need 1 teaspoon of soda. That's baking soda. I can grab my measuring spoons over here. I'm going to pop the top off of here. And grab me out a teaspoon of soda. And sprinkle that in there. And guess what I did, guys? What do I always do? You know me. You've been around me long enough. What do I always do? I forgot the salt. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I've got my salt now. So I'm going to go in with a teaspoon of salt. Chef was out weed eating earlier, and he came in. He said, guess what I found? And I said, what? He said, an old coin. He found some type of old coin in the yard. I think it's a penny, but he doesn't think so. It's so dirty that you can't really tell. I mean, you can tell it's a coin, but I think I'm seeing the copper, so I'm pretty sure it's a penny. But anyway, he's got it soaking in some Coke to kind of help remove all the dirt and nasty gunk from it. So maybe it's a really old one. We don't know. We'll find out when we get it clean enough where we can see it. Okay, so in here I've got my sugar, my 1.5 cup sugar, my 2 cups flour, my teaspoon of soda, my teaspoon of salt, and I'm just going to take my whisk and I'm just going to whisk this around. You know, they always say whisking is the new sifting. You can sift it if you want to, but I don't think it's really necessary because when you take your whisk through it, kind of blends everything up, smooths it down, gets the lumps out of it, which is basically all you're doing when you're sifting it anyway. Okay. So now we've got this done. I'm just going to sit this over here for a second. Now what I need to add to this, and we're almost done with the actual cake mix itself. What I need to do is I'm going to add 2 well-beaten eggs. So I'm going to crack these in a separate bowl because here lately it seems like I've been getting shell every time I go to crack an egg. And I don't want shell in the cake. So I'm going to put these in here. Plus it's always good to check to make sure your eggs are good, you know. All right. And I'm just going to take my little handy dandy little mini whisk here and I'm just going to beat up this egg real well. Again, you can use a hand mixer for mixing up this cake mix, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to do it by hand because my arms are so fat I need the extra exercise anyway. So, okay, so I've got that done. I'm just going to pour my eggs in there and get all of that out. Don't want to leave any egg in there. That's a waste. So we're going to get all that in there. Okay, and I'm going to set this off to the side and get it out of my way. And I have a really nice island that I could use if I didn't have so many problems with my back. But it's kind of hard for me to stand there, and I need to get a new bar stool to be able to sit down at it comfortably. Okay, so I'm going to take my peaches, and again, it's about 2/3 of this can right here, which again is a 29.1 ounce can. I've used about 2/3 of it, so I'm going to take my peaches, and I'm going to drop my peaches in here. Oh, they smell so wonderful. It just smells like summer. I'm so excited for the holidays coming up, 4th of July and Memorial Day and things like that. This is just, and with COVID being eased up a little bit, even though it's not everywhere, I'm just so happy. I feel like we can actually do something with our family and friends. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. I like to clean as I go. Now, when you have a can of crushed pineapple, I've measured the juice out of it, and usually you get about a cup of pineapple juice. So what I'm going to do is I've got more than a cup in here. I'm going to go ahead and measure it out. Oop, there goes a peach that fell into there. I've actually got about a cup and a half of pineapple juice in here, and I'll probably use the whole thing. So I'm just going to go ahead, and that's why it's always good to have a little bit of extra pineapple juice on hand. But I'm just going to mix this in case I see how it is, and if I feel like I need to add more liquid, then I'll go in and add more liquid. But look at all those peaches in there. Oh, if you guys could smell this. We need to talk to these guys that are inventing all these things and tell them that they need to be able to invent smell-o-phone or smell-o-vision so we can all enjoy the things that we see our fellow YouTubers fix. Because I'm sure the smells that are coming from some of those kitchens is just amazing. Just amazing. Okay. I think this is actually pretty good. I don't really think I'm going to need much more peach juice to add to it. I might add just a smidge more. But if you can see, it's pretty much like cake batter consistency. I'm just going to... I've got one peach that's kind of went AWOL into the bowl. I'm just going to add a tad bit more. Because then, that just means that Penguin gets to drink the rest of the peach juice. And you guys like peach juice too? I know I do. You know, we have some good homegrown peaches, but sometimes we get these stands on the side of the road and they advertise homegrown peaches. But then when you go to bite into one, it's not a homegrown peach. It has absolutely no sweetness to it, very little flavor. Okay, I'm going to move my pecans for a second and grab my baking dish. And yes, I'm not using one of my fancy ones. I'm just using my trusty old Pyrex for this one. And I'm going to, sorry about my arm, guys. I'm going to give this a light spray with my butter spray, which me and the chef is about out of, so I've got to get some more. He always tells me when I go to bed at night, he's like, oh, you need to add this to the grocery list, and you need to add this to the grocery list. And I told him last night, I'm like, are you serious right now? Do you think that I carry a pen and a notepad up here to bed with me at night? I said, why don't you ever tell me these things when I'm in the kitchen? Or better yet, why don't you write them on the list while you're still in the kitchen? But, you know, it's a man thing. You got to love him anyway, right? I sure do love my chef, and he loves you guys. He absolutely loves. He was kind of reluctant to do the YouTube thing at first, but it's like, now he absolutely loves it. Okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to dump it in our 9x13 pan. I wish you guys were here. So many of you, I wish you lived closer. You know, I hate it that everybody is so far away. So here recently I saw some YouTubers, they were doing a YouTube meetup, and I just thought that was so awesome. We have so many channels sometimes that I can't always remember the name. But I know that Kathleen from Alabama Farm Life, she went to the YouTube meetup. And I will link her channel also, as well as the other channel. It's Gail. Oh, gosh. I know her name is Gail, and forgive me, Gail, because I can't remember the whole channel name right now, because we're fairly new. I think we just subscribed to her a couple of days ago. So, but I will put their channel in the description box as well, so you guys can go over and check them out and see what kind of fun that they had at this YouTube meet and greet. I think we should all do that. I think that would be so much fun. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to set this right over here for a minute. Get my whisk out of there. And this cake just has that beautiful peach color. Not only the smell, but the color. My best friend says that I say color funny. She says I don't pronounce it right. She's from Texas, but she says I don't pronounce it right. She says that when I say collar, she says it always makes her think of like a shirt collar, like ring around the collar. She said that's not how you pronounce it. It's collar. I'm like, oh, good grief. She's the grammar police. Do you guys think I say collar wrong? If you do, hit me up. Leave me a comment in the description box, because she swears that I say it wrong. Okay, now we've got this part done. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our brown sugar. And this is so good, guys. Please make this. It's so simple. So simple. I'm not going to measure it out. I'm just going to guesstimate, but we want about a half a cup of brown sugar. And we're just going to come through and we're just going to sprinkle brown sugar over the top of this cake. Are you feeling me now? Are you seeing where we're going with this? This is a really good cake, you guys. I'm going to sprinkle brown sugar all over the top of the cake. Just about a half a cup's worth. You don't want to cover the whole entire top of the cake with brown sugar. Just sprinkle it around. What would be about a half a cup or so. Get all your corners and your little nooks and crannies. You don't want to leave any spots too bare, but again, you don't want a blanket of brown sugar all over it. Okay. I think that that is good. That's about a half a cup of brown sugar. Oh, there's a little bare spot. Okay. So we're done with this now. I'm going to put my lid back on here. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take our pecans that we cut up a while ago, and we're just going to go through and we're going to sprinkle these all over the top of our cake. Just all over like we did the brown sugar. Just going to sprinkle pecans. If you want more pecans than what I put on here, then by all means use more. If you want walnuts, do walnuts. If you don't want any at all because you can't chew them for whatever reason, then don't put any nuts on it at all. That's okay too. Or if you have a nut allergy, or people in your family have a nut allergy, then by all means you're not going to want to put any nuts on this cake, because we want a cake that everybody can eat. Okay, putting all the rest of that on there. Set this off to the side. Just make sure that we have a little bit of pecan everywhere for everybody, and I think it looks good. Okay, guys, I'm going to take this. I'm going to stick it in my oven. I'm going to let it bake for about 40 to 45 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Now, before this gets done, like when we get down to the last, about 10 minutes of it being done, 5 minutes of it being done, that's when we're going to go ahead and we're going to melt our margarine, our evaporated milk, vanilla extract, and some sugar in a saucepan on the stove. So as soon as this comes out, we're going to take that mixture and we're going to pour it over the top of this cake. That's where I call it peaches and cream. This cake is so good, guys. So let me get this in the oven so we can get this going, and I'll be back with you guys shortly. Okay, guys, I'm back, and we have about 9 minutes left on our cake before it's done. So we're going to go ahead and assemble the stuff that we need to take care of on the stove. So what we're going to want to do for this part is we want 1/2 cup of sugar. Now we're only going to cook this on the stove to basically get the sugar dissolved because we don't want it to be gritty. So we've got about 1/2 cup of sugar. And to this we want a teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm just going to eyeball my vanilla right here. About a teaspoon. To this we're going to add 1 cup of, the recipe says milnut, but that's how they used to say it back in the old days. This is just evaporated milk. Milnut was a brand of evaporated milk. And it still is, but that's all you used to be able to find. We're going to use 1 cup of evaporated milk. And then to this, we're going to add 1 stick of margarine. Now the recipe says oleo, and a lot of you that are in my generation and beyond know that oleo is what they used to call margarine all the time. So we're going to add in 1 stick of margarine. And we're going to take this over to the stove, and we're just going to cook this over medium until the sugar dissolves and the margarine melts. And then when the cake comes out, we're going to immediately pour this over the top of the cake. So I'll walk you through those steps. I'm not going to show you melting this down. It's just a matter of putting it on the burner, putting it on medium, and stirring it. You want to stay with it and stir it until the sugar gets dissolved and the margarine gets melted. So I'll be back. I decided to just go ahead and show you guys. This is my evaporated milk, sugar, vanilla extract, and margarine in my saucepan over the stove on medium heat. And I'm just stirring it around, and I'm just going to stir it around until all the margarine gets melted. And we have about 5 minutes and 38 seconds left on our cake. I just checked it once to make sure it wasn't ready yet. So as soon as it gets done, I'll bring you guys back. Okay, guys, sorry about the shadowing, but there is our delicious cake straight out of the oven. So now I'm going to set you guys up here again without knocking you over. And in this pan, we have our evaporated milk, our sugar, our vanilla, and our butter that's all melted. Just going to give this a stir. What we're going to do is we're going to pour this all over the top of this cake. Pour it all over the cake. And no, you don't need to poke holes in the cake or anything like that. I'm going to pour this all over it. It will soak into this cake. As you can see, what I've already poured down here is already soaked in. This is one delicious cake, guys. Trust me. I would not steer you wrong. I tell you that all the time. Just have faith. Pour this all over here. Delicious. Delicious. You can smell the pecans. You can smell the peaches. And now we're adding our cream. All right. See, it's already soaked into the cake, if you can see that. I hate the shadowing. That really bothers me. But you can see our pieces of peach all along the side of the cake right there. This is so delicious, guys. So I'm going to let this sit and cool for a while, and then I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. I'm going to cover it and put it in the refrigerator. And then when I get ready to cut it and we serve up a piece, then I will bring you guys back and I'll show you what it looks like and we'll taste it. Here you go, guys. Here is my version of a granny cake, the non-traditional granny cake. This is my peaches and cream granny cake with candied pecans. And you can see the pieces of peach throughout the cake. So good. If you love peaches, you'll definitely love this cake. For sure. It's so moist and delicious with the pecans. Just a slight crunch of the pecans. The sweetness from the brown sugar. The creaminess from the topping that we poured over the cake. And yes, now Penguin must taste it. The chef is still working outside, so we're going to taste it without him. Of course, he's already had this multiple times, so he knows what it tastes like. And besides that, he's been working outside, so he's probably not wanting something like this at the moment. He's probably wanting something very cold. And even though this has been in the fridge, it still has a slight warm to it. Come on, guys. Bite. Look at that peach. Pecans. You can't go wrong with this, guys, I promise. Give it a try and it'll be one of the best. Sorry, my hand's shaking. Give it a try and it'll be one of the best cakes you've ever had. I promise. This puts Penguin's spin on a granny cake. And yes, the shelter dog, he's in the background whining because he wants to get to the chef and the chef is outside. Best cake ever. Super moist, super delicious, super peachy. Great for a summertime cookout. Or anytime you're just wanting a great dessert. So there you go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up so I can get it edited and put out. So that way you guys have it in case you want to make this for the upcoming Memorial holiday. This is also great for a church carry-in. If you're going to church, you're having a church function. This is a great cake for that as well. So we'll let you guys go. And Chef has a recipe coming up. He'll be the next one. Unless we do something fun in between that. And you never know with us. It's always something different. So we will see you guys in the next video. Love you guys. Please like, share, subscribe. If you have any friends that might be interested in our content, please spread the word. We will see you guys in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.